So I watch different channels and I agree with people, and that's why I promote people. I share their videos because they actually have videos, whereas I have audios. So my voice is fine. I can control my voice. You can't control everything else. I think I sound like I'm not a completely stupid person, and I think I have a very good voice. It's just, I'm sorry if I have the vocal fry, whatever. I have a vocal fry. What's a vocal fry? Is it like a fish fry? I don't know. This thing, it's gonna get out of control, folks, because people are too stupid to really understand the difference between right and wrong. They're not raised to be smart these days. And what bothers me is that they're going to be assuming that all Muslims and Somalis are bad. I'm just like, what? Are you like part Somali or something? Does it look like I'm part Somali? Tell me if it looks like I'm part Somali. Did I have any? Maybe back in the day, who knows? Who knows? Maybe, somebody was a Saracen back in my ancestry. I haven't the foggiest notion. And that's why the ancestry is so foggy, because I don't know. Nobody knows. I'm telling you, you're making a big mistake if you're going to paint everybody with this broad brush. Yeah, it comes to the same thing with, crimes, committed in the U.S. And I started watching this video and I was really enjoying it for a while until they started just sounding really mean, and they were basically saying that people of African ancestry have lower IQs than white people. That kind of sounds Hitlerish to me. Really bothers me. Bothers me a lot. So I have to reiterate. I listen to people and I will share videos and I don't agree like 100% with everything they say. Wow, you're making a good point. I'm vibing with you, girl. I'm vibing with you, boy. Whatever. We're vibing. We're vibing. Interestingly, you don't see a bunch of old people's videos on YouTube. It's usually young, very good looking people. That's okay with me. You know what? That's why I make audios, not videos. But may I reiterate this, folks, and it's a very complex issue. If you want to know, if you're willing to dig beneath the surface, and you could be a person of any age. I realize that my audience could be very young, or they could be very old, or they could be somewhere in between. And I have to be sensitive to that. I always think, that I'm talking to people just like me. Well, that's impossible. There is nobody just like you but you. There are people that have had different experiences in their life. And I want to tell you this right now. As I said in my previous video, the Somalis whom I encountered were very, very nice people. Some of them took care of my dad when he was aged and having health problems, and at least one of them I just met through, a group. I'll just say it that way. She was a nice lady. I don't know what to say, folks. Don't paint everybody with this broad brush. She was Well, she was nice, but she's really an evil person with a gun underneath her, whatever, seat or whatever. I judge people by their actions, and I felt as if this lady is not a bad lady. And being a shy person and not a very intrusive person, I didn't really ask her. I mean, I'm going to tell you this point blank, folks, and this is an expression maybe the youth, they don't even perhaps even use the same expressions as we do, being my age group. This was long before the scandal broke, the recent scandal broke. She said, I'm going back to Somalia. And everybody in the group most of them are Americans. They're like, yay, you're going back to Somalia. That's great. Now, if anybody said that, they're like, what? How much cash money you carrying, bro? In your little suitcase there. No, it's in my purse, not my suitcase, because I'm a girl. I'm telling you again, folks, if I have to reiterate it, I'm going to reiterate it again and again and again and again and again and again and again. All right, let's back up a little bit. How did this all start out? How did you become such a crazy... I mean, I'm not even going to use the term because some people will use that term or that term will come to their mind. All right, I'll tell you what. You want some frankness, but we don't want to be overly frank because we don't want to violate people's privacy. We want to be merciful. I was born in a metropolitan area, and I was moved to eventually transplanted to an area where people were a little bit well, my dad used to make fun of these people, and it's just so odd because his parents were foreign, so then we moved out into the country, and he would do nothing but make fun of the locals all day long. He called them hillbillies. And in fact, one of my dad's favorite things to do was say "ding," like you're spitting into a spittoon because you're chewing tobacco. "Ding, ding, ding." Just make fun of everybody around him. Maybe he felt uncomfortable. I mean, one time, my dad was walking along the road because he likes to get exercise, and people asked him, "Are you from Cleveland, bro? Like, what are you doing just walking?" They thought it was very suspicious that he's just walking up the road. No, I'm trying to get exercise. Sometimes people are just exercising. My dad isn't some sort of like a hoodlum. I mean, he's not some sort of like 46-year-old hoodlum or something. And it was kind of embarrassing. I was riding the school bus one time, and it was really, really cringy. It was a cringy time. It was a cringy moment, or whatever the young people would say these days. My dad was just jogging on the road, and he was wearing shorts, like gym shorts or something like that, but they were white. And they said, "Who's that guy running in his underwear?" The kids on the bus were laughing and mocking him. I'm like, oh no, that's my dad. He's just exercising. You know? You know what it's like? So I understand what it's like. I understand what it's like to be a fish out of water, in an environment that doesn't quite understand you. They think you're an abnormal, strange person. Believe me, that happened to me. Believe me, you think it's bad. My dad, like he's accosted, he's like questioned by suspicious neighbors, like, "Why are you walking?" "Because I like to get exercise and I'm retired." Because he had a good pension plan. Yeah. He also rode his bike. So I have nothing against that. If you're gonna do that recreationally, that's fine. I'm not suspicious of it. Did they think my dad was some sort of like a burglar? I don't know. Like, I don't even know. He's like, "Why are these people bothering me? I'm just trying to get some exercise." But again, I digress. Well, so when I was sort of a white privileged kind of person, and I applied to different colleges. I was accepted to a college that I really wanted to go to. It was called the Cow. You know what Cow is? Well, that's an acronym. Figure it out. Maybe it's not a cow anymore. Maybe it's the UOW. Who knows? I wrote this brilliant essay and was accepted. However, my parents didn't have the money to pay for it. So there was another college it was a Christian college, and it didn't matter to me which denomination it was. They accepted me, and I thought, this is wonderful. And I actually thought it was a very nice college, but under the surface, I mean, there's just some things, Frida, I know there's something going on from ABBA. Do you get my reference? Not everybody at the college was very Christian. For example, there was this really pretty girl and a very kind of a handsome guy, but he was really creepy so his creepiness sort of overwhelmed his handsomeness. They were boyfriend and girlfriend, and they would just stare at me at my job. I had a desk job. And it turned out he had all these photos of topless girls. This is before we had cell phones, folks. Please, oh please, I'm taking you back, aren't I? Like, why are these people who aren't Christians even going to a Christian college? But they were, I don't know, that's sort of a secular, did I repeat myself, infiltration. And then we also had many people who had come over. I mean, many people who had come over from another country. Perhaps they were given a scholarship and they came here. So these would be the international students. And these are the people, these were the friendliest, nicest people, except a few of them. But we're not going to say who they were. I mean, some people just seem to be a little bit like, wow, why isn't he friendly? I'm friendly. Why isn't he friendly? I don't know. Some people are like that. Like, I go out of my way to be friendly. Like, I'm not going to say where they came from, but it was an island country. It was a brother and a sister, and they would just be so condescending and so arrogant. Like, the nicer I tried to be, the more they sneered at me. I'm thinking, what, oh well, once a nerd, always a nerd. But there was a lady from Africa that was so nice. Her name was Margaret Chinyata, and she was so nice. And a lady from another island country, but it's not, perhaps not in our hemisphere. Can I say it that way? She was like super duper duper, super duper 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 nice. I mean, and a lady from a young lady from Mexico, she was so nice. She was outgoing. She was just so friendly, and I felt like, oh, I felt so cringed out because it was the same thing. In my high school, when these exchange students would come over, they were just super duper nice and intelligent, and we're just a bunch of assholes here. You better learn how to swim with the assholes, bro, because we are not nice people. We are not. In fact, well, we're not going to talk about that. It'd be better not to talk about things sometimes. You don't want to violate anybody's privacy. So, oh, who's the coyote howling in the background? Super duper, nice. Some people are so arrogant, and what is the point you're trying to get to? Oh, okay. We'll eventually arrive at that point that I was trying to get to. It really concerns me that you're going to, and I feel a little like a tinge of, guilt or something, conviction in my heart when I share a video where somebody says something this is a little off kilter. Like, for example, well, anybody who wears a turban on their head, Sikhs are not, they're a different religion. Don't make fun of the Sikhs. makes me upset because they must have really nice hair, they have to cover it up. No, I'm not joking. I mean, that's why I don't like Larry the Cable. No, it's not like, is it Larry the Cable Guy? Calling somebody a terrible name like Diaperhead, hey, if that's their religion, folks, they're not causing problems. So I just, or what is it, Joe the truck driver or Larry the Cable Guy or something like that. So, white people apparently are ashamed of having these working class jobs, but you're doing it so well. That's why you keep getting these jobs, and everybody keeps paying you to do it because you're good at what you do. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? If somebody comes over here, I'm an astrophysicist from Ukraine. Well, I wonder. Makes you wonder, yeah, I'm sure you're an astrophysicist. Yeah, we wonder. But I have to tell you, and I have to say it again, that the people I knew in my community that were from Somalia were very nice, good people, with the exception of two assholes that I had a chance encounter with, but they weren't bothering me. I'm just saying. I mean, when you see them in Tim Hortons just drinking coffee all day and just enjoying life, man, it's like, well, maybe I don't belong here if they're just sitting there. It's their little Somalian coffee shop. The women go to work and the men just drink coffee and smoke cigarettes and make obnoxious YouTube videos, apparently. Stop laughing. But, because I'm supposed to be serious and because I do want to post this video, I want to tell you right now, don't make the mistake of painting everybody with this broad brush. That's another idiom. Maybe my language is just so replete with idioms. I can hardly communicate without American idiomisms. I feel as if the Somali people had treated my father so well when he had to go into adult daycare for his issues, which were mainly related to his Alzheimer's disease. I feel as if I should have been friendlier, but I felt somewhat ashamed, or I felt as if I'm not as good as they are because they seem to be running this successful business and they're so competent and they're so smart and they're so kind and they can do everything. They can drive, I can bring home the bacon, fry it up in a pan. And never, never let you forget you're a man. It's Charlie. It's a fragrance. Did you buy that for your wife? I don't know if my husband had bought me that fragrance. Yeah, we might be telling a different story right now. Only people about 50 years old want. I can bring home the bacon, fry it up in a pan. I'll never ever let you forget your amen, 'cause I'm a woman. Oh, that's Anjali. I don't know, I'm getting confused. Is it Charlie or is it Anjali? Anjali, whatever. I actually felt embarrassed because they're coming to pick up my father and the government is paying for it. And I thought, you know what? I'm just a poor, wretched soul. And they're doing this so well and they're really taking good care of him. And they are just, would you give somebody A plus 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 plus? Not everybody was as friendly as everybody else, but I was embarrassed. I thought, you know what? I wish the American government had arranged for Dad to have the care that he needed. We should anticipate that a certain percentage of our population will acquire dementia, let's put it that way. And why don't we provide something for them? Well, I didn't know how to hack the system. Like, it's like I'm not like some kind of like little scammer. Like, I know how to really. I'm not intelligent that way. You're so stupid. I'm kind of like a SpongeBob sort of person. Really, you stupid idiot. Why can't you see that? Like years later, oh, now I realize what was really going on. Oh, like Frida, I know there's something going on. I didn't know back in the day. But the whole point of my message, I really want to tell people of the world, this is so bad that you would just assume that every person from Somalia was a bad, terrible person. Just because something happens in Minnesota doesn't mean it happens other places. Sometimes people are exploited and their vulnerabilities are used for nefarious purposes. And I have to reiterate, and I've said this word, is it the third time I've said this? They took wonderful care of my father. And please don't have Somali hatred. Don't be hating on the Somalis. That is not, listen. If there are inequities or if there's fraud in our society and our community, it should be investigated and people should, that the fraud should stop. But think about the individual people, the people that took care of my dad when nobody else was there, when my relatives weren't there. My brother wasn't there because he wasn't alive. So my mother wasn't there because she wasn't alive. Cousins, aunts, uncles. Who gives a rat's ass about what happens there? I'm sure they're chuckling in a bar somewhere right now, even. So they took care of my dad when nobody else was there for me. So please, don't be prejudiced because it's wrong. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.